How did you go from being Rahul Gandhi's Rakhi sister to the rebel of Raebareli to now a prominent BJP leader?
The whole thing started with the media getting me married off to him.
Why did I enter politics? Mujhe nahi karna.
Absolutely. At that point, especially with those rumors.
And you had some rather, I want to use the word funny. I don't know if that's the correct word. Funny exchange with Rahul Gandhi where he asked you how many MLAs do we have?
Yeah.
What was that about?
So that was right after the Vidhan Sabha election in 2017.
You said that Priyanka Gandhi cut his ticket.
Yeah.
Because you had left.
Again, the price of, paying the price of being a woman, right?
Where Robert Vadra, the husband of Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, has volunteered to be a candidate from Amethi and has even said that the people of Amethi expect him to do so.
Barkha, I don't know. Do you think that was a joke?
But being female in politics, being used to speak your mind freely, be who you are, politics, irrespective of parties, is restrictive.
Yes.
For the personal freedom of women.
Yes.
How have you adjusted to that?
Things happened, it was very much, pretty much played out like a movie, right?
Aditi, there was a time when you described Rahul Gandhi to be your Rakhi brother. That's how close you were considered to the Gandhi family. Your father, of course, had been associated with the family for years and years. How did you go from being Rahul Gandhi's Rakhi sister to the rebel of Raebareli to now a prominent BJP leader?
Barkha, to answer that question, in terms of what happened with the whole Rakhi brothers statement, although, I held him in the highest regard, I still hold him in high regard, personally speaking, but the whole thing started with the media getting me married off to him.
I remember that.
Which was ridiculous. I was a new MLA and a newly elected MLA, all of 29, maximum 30. And I remember all these, media articles coming out and, the media hounding me.
And that suggested that you had a romantic relationship with Rahul Gandhi.
Yes, and I was just, super baffled. Ki ye kya ho raha hai? I just got elected. I think it hadn't even been a year, or perhaps like a year or something.
And kya umar thi aapki tab?
I was probably 29 or 30. And all of these, rumors started, floating around, and the media started completely hounding me. And I was just very, very scared. Honestly, it was just such a scary. And I think I got a first glimpse into truly the kind of, media spotlight they must deal with.
Because also what it means to be a woman in politics,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Because the kind of innuendo and speculation, and a guy and it's immediately assumed to be something else, and all of that.
Absolutely. And I think the first thing that came to my mind with all of this media hounding me and with all of this, all these phone calls and my God, is, he is like a brother to me, is the only way I could think of to describe perhaps the relationship I had with him.
How did you feel that? You said you felt scared when they were this kind of innuendo in media.
Barkha, I was petrified. Because it was all the time. I would wake up to 100 missed calls, from different media, and I literally.
And what would they ask you?
Just that, like, we hear you getting married. And I said, what? This is so ridiculous. I'm an MLA. Firstly, this is not only. Does this make me feel so terrible as a woman that you're targeting me for being a woman, and perhaps that to a younger woman, but also like this is so unprofessional, and I was very, very scared and worried about what it may look like professionally for me. I'm just a young professional starting out my career. Can you imagine this happening in any other job where, let's say, you start work with some news channel, let's say, or in some MNC or some company, and
they say you're sleeping with the boss.
Yeah.
Basically, that's what it comes down to when women do well and all women are in the public eye. It's terrible. And it doesn't matter to me which party, which across the board this happens to women, and
it does, right?
Terrible.
It does. Like, can you imagine being like in an MNC or something or the Big Four, and them saying that, are you getting married to the CEO or something? It's kind of the equivalent of that, right? So I can't tell you how, petrifying and scary it was for me in terms of not just what I had to deal with as a woman, but what my career prospects may look like, given that I'm starting my career with this rumor.
Yeah.
You know, it was ridiculous, man. Like, I think that was one of the toughest points of my, you know, as a
So,
new,
and then that's
new
the context in
entrant.
which you issued a statement saying that he's like my Rakhi brother.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you would think that they would back off.
They didn't.
But they didn't, you know. So I literally just went incognito. I went underground for some time because I think now, as a second-term MLA, now that I'm a little bit older, as a woman, I've had to deal with a lot more things.
You have a thicker skin.
Thicker skin.
Yeah. I remember Hillary Clinton. I was once interviewing her and she said, listen, if you're a woman in the public eye, you have to grow a skin as thick as the hide of a rhino.
Absolutely.
So are you there yet? Is your skin as thick as
that? I don't think I'm nowhere near that, but I hope to get to that level some point. But definitely a lot better than 7 years ago or 8 years ago when this happened. And then I literally just sort of left the city for some time.
Really?
Turned my phone off because it was just, so my father was a cancer patient, you know that. He was getting treated in Singapore at that time. And it was just the harassment of it all. Ek taraf parivar ki taraf se, and Papa being sick, and then all of this happening. And I was just like, all right, you know, I'm piecing out.
Aapne socha at that time that why did I enter politics? Mujhe nahi karna.
Absolutely. At that point, especially with those rumors and the I would say media harassment pretty much. Not going to take names, but there was this one, media channel. There was this one, sort of a setup, an organization. 100 missed calls. I'm not lying. Like I would, I'd leave my phone for 2 hours and come back to like 50, 60
like
missed calls.
Stalking.
Stalking pretty much. And then I just sort of, I changed my number at that point. I think I blocked it out of my memory for a large part.
Yeah.
But then that's when the statement, like to go back to your original question.
But what doesn't kill you as they say, makes you stronger.
Absolutely.
So that's the context for Rahul Gandhi is like my Rakhi brother statement.
Yeah.
What was your relationship actually like with both him and Priyanka Gandhi or with Sonia Gandhi? And was it very different with all three?
It was certainly very different with all three. No doubt about that. And I wouldn't say I had too much of a relationship with Mrs. Gandhi. Is because she obviously wasn't keeping very well, and she was not coming to the constituency as much as perhaps she was before. Also because I was studying and I was abroad, and I only really moved back to the country in 2014, sort of mid, and joined the Congress Party in 2016, contested in 2017.
Correct.
Right? So, and also I was a person of the ground. Like I said, my father was not keeping well. So I was dividing my time between mainly my father's ilaj and the constituency. But I had, I think the person who inducted me into the party was Priyanka Gandhi. So I perhaps had the closest relationship with her of the three. Mr. Rahul Gandhi was, of course, at that time, the Congress president at some point during my tenure. And so I met him, and he was obviously the MP from Amethi at that point. So he would, let's say, when the family would come to Raebareli, once or twice he accompanied them. But to be very honest, other than that, it's not necessarily that I was seeing too much of him or seeking time too much. Is because frankly I had a different constituency, so I didn't have much to do with Amethi. My issues were mainly Raebareli centric.
So what changed? And do you remember the moment at which it changed, or that moment? Obviously it built up over some time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But something must have snapped for you. There must have been a final moment when you said, I can't be in this party anymore.
I think it was, like with all big decisions, especially if they're taken, with some, a sense of sanity or with some cognizance. It wasn't necessary. It wasn't that one sort of.
It wasn't that one thing.
Of like, exactly. There wasn't necessarily.
So what was happening? What was disillusioning you?
What basically happened is I would go to them with things. And keep in mind that I joined the Congress Party at a point when it was neither in the state nor in the center. Now a lot of times I get trolled, Barkha, and even when I've spoken to you or interviewed with you in the past, that, aap to,
opportunist hai.
Opportunist hai, or mauka de ke aapne ship badal li, and blah, 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 And the thing is, and I keep reminding them of that dude, I joined the party at a time when it was already a sunken ship, pretty much. My hope was to revive it to whatever extent I could in Raebareli and Uttar Pradesh. Is how I saw it. I could have easily joined at that time the Bhajpa or the Samajwadi, who were in power at that time in UP. or the BSP, who looked like it was poised to come in power. Remember that time in 2017?
How things changed.
Minute, how things changed.
Yeah.
And I chose to go with the Congress Party because of XYZ reasons, and Priyanka ji herself, got inducted me to the party and so on. So that is something I have to, often remind the trolls about, right? But what happened, Barkha, is we were all of 7 MLAs.
Yeah.
I was literally from their bastion, from their home constituency, Raebareli. And even then, more than, जैसे हमारे यूपी में कहते हैं कि डीएम से ज्यादा डीएम के ड्राइवर का दिमाग खराब होता है, right? तो उसी क्रम में, more than perhaps necessarily, the Gandhi family also, it's their coterie, it's their advisors, it's the people that they choose to surround themselves with who really, जिन्होंने उनकी नैया डुबो दी, कहा जा सकता है. They were harder to get in touch with. They were playing their own little games.
Yeah.
And this one won't let you talk to that one, and so on and so forth.
And they would block access?
They would block access.
And you couldn't access Priyanka and Rahul directly?
I could. So that's what I'm saying, that I was still one of the lucky
the rare ones.
Exactly, because of the constituency and whatever relationship I had historically my family had with them, perhaps. And I will give them credit for that I did. And like I said, I wasn't necessarily trying to reach out to Rahul ji that much. I had no business with him, really. But with Priyanka ji, she did give me time and she did give me access, which is something I will applaud her for.
But your fallout with her was the worst.
It somehow was, but I never. And if you were to go back, and trace all the statements I made, political or otherwise, I truly never ever said anything unbecoming or undignified about her at all. I decided to go a different direction. I decided to part ways with them. But I truly, in everything I do, Barkha, be it my personal life or professional, I really do try to do it with grace and dignity. I've seen too much of this. I was born into a political family. I've absolutely just seen too much to know how important it is to maintain your own grace and dignity and to hold your own. So I don't think I ever made any kind of a crass or crude personal comment. Nothing. Whilst on one hand, I could see that nothing really seemed to be happening or changing in the Congress. On the other hand, we had a prime minister like Modi ji, who I was, very, very impressed with from the get-go. I think he basically became the prime minister the same year I came back to the country. So that's the leadership sort of. I remember the time before that when I was abroad and the perception of the country and so on and so forth. And here I was, this, Noyuvak, and not just in politics, just as a youth
young
of the
person.
Country, like coming back all gung-ho, I'm going to change my country, and seeing this leadership, supremely inspired. And then I became an MLA. And I was very lucky that as I became an MLA, my chief, even though I was in a different party, that's fine. But being a member of the House, where the leader of the House is a chief minister like Yogi Adityanath. And my God, man, I was just so impressed with just what he did with Uttar Pradesh, the law and order.
And at this point,
situation.
you're still in the Congress.
I'm still in the Congress. I'm still in the Congress. I'm just very, very impressed by how he's handling the state, how the Honorable Prime Minister is handling the country. And being a young, sort of wannabe change maker at this point, I want to be a part of this growth story. I just, in my head was like, my God, this is exactly the kind of, work ethic that I have been brought up with. This is exactly the kind of, political and social willpower that I think netas should have.
And in parallel, what's happening in the Congress party at this time?
In parallel, what is happening is, Lok Sabha elections coming up, Sonia Gandhi ji is contesting. I am going to them 100 times. That listen, boss, you got to move. You have to work harder. Do this, do that. Coming up with all kinds of ideas,
and they are doing
creative
what?
Ideas. I'm like this young, hai na ki
ye
idea,
eager,
eager, right? And truly, I can see how it would make a change and how it would make a difference and strengthen them, right? And they're like, okay, all right, perhaps well-meaning. I don't know. But what they would do is they would refer me to their, colleagues and juniors, rather their PROs and whatever.
And you had some rather, I want to use the word funny. I don't know if that's the correct word. Funny exchange with Rahul Gandhi, where he asked you how many MLAs do we have? What was that about?
So that was right after the Vidhan Sabha election in 2017, and we were all called to meet him. So I sort of missed that meeting of like where all 7 of us who were called to meet him. I missed that meeting somehow. And so then I sought time with him later. Ki I'm really sorry I couldn't make it for that sort of joint sare vidhayakon ki vidhayak dal ki meeting. And and here I am. So he's like, and he'd met the rest already. And even then he was like, how many of you are elected from Uttar Pradesh? And then I said, so 7.
He didn't know?
No, he didn't. Or perhaps he forgot. I don't know. But he asked me that. So
and
clearly,
then?
or maybe so nothing. So then he kind of like laughed, like threw his head back and laughed. And I was just very
What did
surprised.
you find funny?
I don't know, man. Like I was just as surprised that, hey, listen, this is the state that has given all your families prime ministers.
Correct.
ये वो प्रदेश है, दिल्ली का रास्ता यूपी से तय होता है, ये आपके खानदानियों ने हमको बताया. And that's why we, and to be so callous about a state like Uttar Pradesh, it just, I was, all of, again, like 29 and fairly new into the political foray, but even I understood the implication of doing so badly in UP.
Media reports at the time suggested that the tipping point for you, and you said there wasn't any one reason, your father dies from cancer. And I don't know if this is true, and you can tell us that the BJP reached out to you in more promptly than the Gandhi family. Is that true?
Oh, yes, absolutely. That was certainly, yes, absolutely.
What happened?
The BJP was very, very helpful, I have to say. And the Honorable Chief Minister, the Honorable Ministers at that time were all very... So I remember when my father died, Priyanka ji came like many, many days later. And she came on a day when the Honorable Chief Minister was visiting Raebareli and he was due to visit. हम गाँव में थे उस समय. We were in an ancestral village. हमारे यहाँ 13वीं तक वहीं रहा जाता है जब तक सारे संस्कार ना हो जाएं. And she didn't come for the longest time. She came a week later. Now keep in mind that this is one of his staunchest, we were some of their strongest and staunchest supporters in their home district. Not from now, but from Indira Gandhi ji के ज़माने से. Like 3 पीढ़ियां निकल गई हैं. And I was a little upset that, but that's fine. But then she sort of timed it with when Yogi ji was supposed to
also
visit
coming,
for condolence, exactly. And then she also paired it with like 100 other programs. Okay, I'm coming here, so then I'll go here and there, which is all right. That's fine. I mean, I think it's I let go of that. No, not a big deal. They're busy people, But in general, with a lot of things, with being a young woman who just lost her father, the BJP was extremely helpful. No agenda, no quid pro quo. They didn't ask me for anything in return. Ki, "Theek hai Vidhayak ji, we'll do this and this and this for you, but can you do this for us?" And nothing. I think they had a massive respect for my father, who was also an independent MLA for 3 terms. So they truly were just very kind, very nice. They asked me, "Is there anything?" My Honorable Chief Minister asked me, if there's anything we can do for you. I'm sure it's not easy trying to wrap everything up with your father, dad not being around, and so on. So I do truly want to thank them. And that for me, that was one of the things that you can say that, well, they are providing me the support that I'm now as a young female in politics without baap ka haath sir pe, without any brothers and that sort of things, the whole machinery that is sometimes required in UP politics. How do I, where do I go from here? How do I maneuver this? And in that, the BJP really came through for me. And I truly...
now, soon after, you began to be called the rebel of Raebareli.
Yeah.
Because you haven't yet left the Congress, but you are taking positions that are in contradiction to the party line. You have a position on the abrogation of 370. You attend a special UP Assembly session, which your party is boycotting, and other things like that happen, and you become a rebel. Does anybody in the Congress central leadership at that time reach out to you? Do they try and persuade you? Because clearly the writing is on the wall by then that you're not going to be with them much longer. Do they try and keep you?
They didn't reach out to me themselves at all.
Not even a phone call, not even a text.
Even a phone call, nothing.
Nothing.
Like, no. And but they delegated people
to try and persuade you.
To try and persuade me. And even those people were so extremely obnoxious. They weren't necessarily like, kya ho gaya? Why? What can we do? Or why are you upset? Or what do you think is going wrong? Like, conflict resolution or conflict management, right? None of that. It was still very, diktat. Like, क्या कर रही हैं आप? आपको टिकट दिया पार्टी ने, आप विधायक हैं यहाँ से, कैसे आप क्या करें? Just sort of not very nice about it at all. And I was like, well, this मैंने क्या गलत किया? If I'm talking about Article 370, something, abrogation of Article 370 is something that I believe in. I went for the special session. I only spoke about the UN development agenda. I think there were like 20 points or something at that point. It's been a few years, I can't remember. But all in all, very development centric. I think मैंने कहाँ आपकी बुराई करी है? आप बताएं मुझे. What have I done, to not follow the whip, right? And with the special session of the assembly, we are legislators. We are elected to go speak in the assembly. इसमें मैंने क्या गलत किया है? अगर किया है, then why do you have a whip? Why do you have such a stupid whip?
तो क्या बोले?
Nothing. कि नहीं बस अब ये इसमें तो हम क्या बताएं, मतलब ढुलमुल जवाब, गोल गोल. And I was like, well, ये जो special session रखा गया है, it is to commemorate, Mahatma Gandhi ji. कुछ था उस समय. I think it was a very special, birth anniversary, perhaps a landmark year or something. Okay. And I was like, इसमें क्या गलत है? This is not about, a party politics at all. This is just a special session. This is ये विधान सभा का कार्यक्रम है. This is not a party. I'm not going to some BJP meeting or Samajwadi meeting or whatever, some other party's meeting. I'm going to Vidhan Sabha. And truly, you should not be stopping MLAs, from doing the job that they are elected to do. वैसे भी आपके पास साथ ही हैं.
And then you tip over and you join the BJP.
Yes, I still didn't. I still didn't join the BJP for the longest time because I was like, all right, let me, we'll figure it out. But then they started. Had they not, perhaps, I don't know what I would have done or not. To be very honest,
they started doing what?
They वो मेरे खिलाफ the what's that called? When the
rumors.
No, not the rumors, sorry.
Attacks?
No.
Posters?
Posters happened. No, they started karwai against me.
Investigating. Acha. Ki disciplinary action.
Disciplinary action and, my God, they started some legal case against me. Yeah,
really?
for कि आपने whip का उल्लंघन किया.
Acha, हाँ.
है ना? So, and a couple of other, like, of course there were, then the troll started, like the troll army was, that's all fine. But then they basically, it got pretty ugly there on. So then I sort of made up my mind slowly and surely. And of course, all this time, the UP BJP government had been very, very kind to me in terms of, development works in my constituency or anything that I asked for, anything that they thought they could help me with. So yes, I think that's how the fallout slowly but surely happened.
Now, once it happens, things get much worse with the Gandhis. You actually said to me earlier in another conversation that we were having that you were married at the time to someone from the Congress party from Punjab.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
And you said that Priyanka Gandhi cut his ticket.
Yeah.
Because you had left. Like she didn't treat you as separate entities.
Yeah.
She treated you basically as one entity.
Exactly. Again, the price of, paying the price of being a woman, right?
Yeah.
Like,
so what happened?
Bhagwan na kare, we have our own ideology and our own,
mind
career paths and
preferences,
and careers to think about. So she, that was that, is that he was a Congress legislator. And ticket ke samay, it was made very clear to him that, listen, you either, say all these things about her or you sort of take a certain stand.
He was asked to speak against you?
Yes. And that...
What can you elaborate on that?
हाँ, मतलब कि basically Charitra Hanan, he speak about her character or the lack thereof.
And who said this to him?
Priyanka ji.
Herself?
Priyanka Gandhi, yeah.
In so many words?
In so many words. I mean, to be honest, I wasn't...
But he told you that?
Yes. That, well, Aditi, this is not something, I have not been brought up like this. This is not something I will be doing. But just so you know that this is what's transpired. And ticket nahi milega to fir, dekhte hain. whatever. And then he contested independently and like went on and lost. Although by a
So
very
they
slim
didn't
margin.
give Angad the ticket.
Yeah.
And they told him कि अगर आपको ticket चाहिए तो आप इनके खिलाफ position लीजिए.
Position DJ.
और public statements इनके खिलाफ दीजिए.
Yeah.
And he came and told you, I'm not going to do this. He doesn't get the ticket and he contests as an independent.
Yes.
Later he goes back to the Congress.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So massive respect for the fact that he did not do that. In fact, and I wish him all the best. But I thought that was a very, very tough situation to put two young people in.
Yeah.
And truly, Barkha, it was just one of the, like 2022 with all of this going on and the divorce and, and he also doesn't have a father. His mother's unwell. His siblings are all, sisters are all abroad, and kind of wasn't easy for him as well. So it was just a very, very tough position to put two young people in who are just trying to do the best they can with their own families and legacies and constituencies that we love so much.
Yeah. And not to pry personally at all, but you have since got divorced. Did politics and the differences in this anxiety and all these tensions play some part in that, in the friction?
Oh, definitely. I feel like I still haven't had, or maybe I just haven't allowed myself to perhaps reflect on it beyond a certain point, with personal life. But yes, of course, absolutely. I mean, I don't know, I just haven't even thought about it. I just haven't let myself truly dive, do a deep dive into what happened. But of course.
Yeah.
And
but when he told you that Priyanka's asking me to take a public position against you, say things about you, character assassinate you, that's the allegation that you have made.
Yeah.
Did you ever think of raising it with her? Maybe sending her a message saying, hey, why are you doing this?
No. I just did not.
And have you crossed paths with her since?
No. I haven't. Because we were both in the midst of elections. Koi point nahi tha ki aap jaake ki bhai, what is this? I mean, I don't think you can necessarily at that time reason with someone who, jinki ye demands hain. And by that time I was already in the BJP and probably 3 weeks away from my own election, from voting day. So I just did not. I think I just sort of told him to do what he thought was best for himself or whatever suited him truly. And, I thought it was noble of him to even tell me that and tell me that he's not going to do it because he was raised better than that. So I told him to do whatever he thinks truly was best for him. And went back to my election. What else could I do? 3 hafte mein mera apna chunav aa raha tha. And, again, it was my first election, without my father, without dad. And, I was very busy trying to maneuver my own election.
Before your father went independent, he had a long association with the Nehru Gandhi family.
Yeah.
And one of the things you've spoken about is why this generation of Congress leaders needs to learn from Indira Gandhi, who is somebody you have never actually criticized.
Yeah.
Because that legacy in some ways obviously shaped or influenced your father and therefore you.
Yeah.
What is the difference you see? I mean, obviously you didn't know Indira personally.
Yeah.
You're too young.
Yeah.
But when you look at that sort of legacy that obviously shaped your understanding of politics, and you see this generation of Nehru Gandhis, what is the difference you see? Like
her connect, man. I have to tell you this. Just her general connect with the ground at that point. Now, keep in mind, this is stuff I hear. These are stories, that I hear from my constituents. Perhaps old family members or people that were around at that time, or who've passed on those stories to their children and so on in the constituency. Barkha is that even at the peak of her power, when she was prime minister, she would allocate a day, beshak pura din nahi, but let's say hours in a day, once a week, for people from her constituency to be able to visit her. Now, that was a different time, and, not that many people, certainly made it to Delhi to just go and meet their MP, who happens to be the Prime Minister. But it was the gesture, right? And a lot of people that could make it to Delhi at that point, to train mein baith ke aa jate the, would come and meet her. So, मान लीजिए Monday रखा, Tuesday रखा, जो भी वो, she had a निर्धारित दिन, जिसमें वो कि she's like, ठीक है मैं प्रधानमंत्री हूँ, but I am also the MP of this particular area, which I thought was most impressive because I grew up with that sort of story and people telling me that. And a lot of times when I'll go into people's houses, even though they're my voters or BJP voters,
even today,
they are, because they obviously वो सब बहुत प्रभावित हैं आदरणीय प्रधानमंत्री जी से. They're all BJP voters, but they will tell me, and they will show me handwritten postcardy, like, do you remember those
purane yellow
the blue sort of
inland letters,
inland letters,
yellow postcards, yes.
And that she would be, sort of handwritten notes from Indira Gandhi ji, as even when she was Prime Minister.
As an MP.
Yes, as their MP. And a lot of them will show me then wo Prime Minister ke letter pad pe ki matlab how is your father doing, inquiring about us Hindi mein, matlab
right,
है ना कि सुनने में आया था कि तिवारी जी की तबीयत खराब है, और मतलब so just that connect which perhaps she had. Now again, हम तो शायद पैदा भी नहीं हुए थे, but that I've heard, that is something they have absolutely completely managed to destroy or not follow up on. And I think it probably started with Sonia ji when she became MP. So that is
what ails the Congress in your estimation?
Just lack of connect, just lack of interest. I mean, whenever there's a lack of effort or connection with your janta.
I mean, they would say Rahul Gandhi walked all across India. Why do you say he has a lack of interest?
I mean, I literally just told you the whole story about उनको अपने ही सूबे में, मतलब जहाँ से वो सांसद बन के जाते हैं वहाँ का आइडिया नहीं है. It's one thing to sort of put in the work and okay, you're walking across and this and that.
No, I'm just saying what they would argue. They would argue that.
Absolutely,
right?
Fair enough. And in fact, they would argue much worse.
Yes.
They would, at this point, they'd be मतलब हम पे तो चढ़ ही जाते वो अभी तक. It's just lack of. I don't know if it's just a lack of.
Is it arrogance?
Willpower.
Is it denial? Is it?
It's a little bit of everything.
Is it not really being political?
जब से हमने इनको देखा, I've never seen them to make very political decisions. And I'm truly only talking about our small bastion of Raebareli and perhaps Amethi. I've just not seen them. I've just seen them make mistake after mistake, even in small things of like ticket distribution or allocation or whatever. I just haven't seen them.
And also not being there enough, right? That's the one feedback you get, or at least when I used to travel through Amethi and Raebareli, people would say, "Oh, aate nahi hai."
बिल्कुल, absolutely. Look at Smriti ji. She's made a house in Amethi. उन्होंने घर बना लिया है. She basically camps out there. She's there so much. And Rahul ji, I think, has visited. बेशक आप हार गए, कोई बात नहीं. I think he's gone back once. If I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, I'll say twice. Certainly not more than that. Priyanka Gandhi ji came back once after her mother was elected in 2019, re-elected in 2019. Once, and that too during, once right after election, and mainly to scream at people कि भैया आपने बिल्कुल परफॉर्म नहीं किया. कार्यकर्ता बेचारे खुशी खुशी से बैठे हैं कि हम जीत के आए हैं इतना टफ इलेक्शन. The only seat we managed to save in Uttar Pradesh was Raebareli. I remember being in that meeting, and
you were at that meeting?
Yes, of course.
This is after the 2019 defeat.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Nothing. It was just.
There is the folklore is that she came and she said she was very agitated, and she said that you all didn't work hard enough to the workers. Can you confirm that's exactly it?
That's exactly it.
So describe the setting. This is Raebareli.
It's been 5 years now. Yeah. This is Raebareli, but like in their guest house, and Bhuimo guest house, and just sort of kind of agitated and not.
And what
very
was
happy.
what was the thing she said?
The margin wasn't as high as it should be, and we've lost Amethi, of course, at this point, and just not in a good mood. But the Karyakartas in Raebareli certainly took it very hard. I remember I was upset too. Look, at that time I was in the Congress. We all worked very hard. The winning margin wasn't as much as it should have been. So I was also we were all a little upset. And then to be, screamed at. Although, she wasn't obviously very unhappy with me. They won with the highest margin from my constituency.
Your assembly segment.
My assembly. But yeah, in general, I remember they're just being like, सारे बेचारे थे खुशी आए थे कार्यकर्ता डांट खा के चले गए. Yeah, so she was very upset.
So we are at a stage in this election when we do not have a Congress candidate named for either Raebareli or Amethi.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We also have this rather intriguing development where Robert Vadra, the husband of Priyanka Gandhi Vadra, has volunteered to be a candidate from Amethi and has even said that the people of Amethi expect him to do so. It began with him saying that after Priyanka enters politics as an MP, but more recent utterances have suggested that is chunav mein bhi wo bilkul tayar hai.
But Barkha, I don't know. Do you think that was a joke? Like, I'm still going to wrap my head around that entire.
I cannot understand it.
I don't get. I have to be very honest. I don't get it. Like, I don't know if do you think it was just sort of like a joke, or do you think testing waters, or do you think they were just trying to, I don't know. Do you think it's a soft launch, or were they just trying to ki acha theek hai parivar? Were they trying to hint that
Search me, I don't know.
se ladega? So to be very honest, the reason I haven't spoken about that at all, even though I've been asked to, is because I just don't get it.
When you
on a personal front, I think it's hilarious. Professionally, I think it's matlab paribhasha hai parivarvad ki. Which is what I've always.
वो तो कहेंगे कि बीजेपी ने तो सब परिवार के लोगों को ले लिया. वो आपके बारे में कहेंगे कि आपके पिताजी भी राजनीति में थे.
हाँ.
तो परिवारवाद उनका सिर्फ उनका नहीं है, बहुत से लोगों का है.
पर कैसे? मेरे फादर तो कभी बीजेपी में थे नहीं. He passed away. मैं sitting MLA थी. मुझे टिकट दी, मैं जीत के आई.
Right.
Had I lost, I would have lost. But they gave only one ticket to me. It's not like I'm asking for a ticket for my sister and अब तो mother और छोटा सा मेरा परिवार बाकी है. अब तो कोई ज़्यादा है भी नहीं. But it's not how I come and I always say this is that हम उसी क्षेत्र से जीत के आते हैं जहाँ से इंदिरा गांधी जी भी चुनाव हारी हैं. तो चुनाव है.
Correct.
Right?
आपने कहा कि at a personal level you find the Robert Vadra not even speculation, his claim to being an aspirant, possible Lok Sabha candidate from Amethi, hilarious.
I do. I don't get it. Like I said,
because
I think
hilarious because
no, because what locus do you have to other than the fact that your brother-in-law was the erstwhile MP from there? Matlab, I don't get it.
And
all.
Professionally, how do you read it?
Professionally, I read it as kind of them trying to, warm up the field for people to know that certainly someone from the family is going to contest. I think that this is just sort of the way to say, acha, hum nahi to, because my brother-in-law wants to contest again, or maybe some other family member, I don't know.
So the question now is, you are a legislator from Raebareli. Could you be, because the BJP is also waiting to see clearly who the Congress fields from Amethi and Raebareli, and that's fair politics.
Perhaps. Yeah.
Would you be up for the challenge of taking them on at a parliamentary level?
Hey, listen, the one thing I love about the BJP, and it was a huge reason for me to join the BJP, is that the BJP is a very disciplined, cadre-based party. The reason it resonated so well for me, their working culture, is because that's how my father was, a very disciplined, cadre-based man within his own politics.
Would he have wanted you to join the BJP?
Yes, I think he would have been most pleased.
Really?
Because he always just spoke so highly about our Honorable Pradhan Mantri, so highly of our Honorable Chief Minister. So I think he was a big Modi fan, regardless of which party he may have been or not been. And I always remember him as someone who was, he liked that kind of political willpower. He likes that kind of commitment. So again, that's what I'm saying is, I think the culture that my father created with his own politics was very similar to the culture of BJP's, discipline, anushasan, or, so that is something I wanted to be a part of. While as on the other hand, with the Congress, there was just no, koi siro peri nahi tha. So as far as to answer your question, jo bhi party ka disha nirdesh hoga, jo bhi party ka aadesh hoga, I am genuinely, truly very happy to do that. I'm not just saying it as someone who, but
But you're up for the challenge.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've been challenging them since I left the party, the Congress party, for very good reasons indeed. But having said that, whoever gets the ticket from Raebareli Lok Sabha from the BJP, I will wholeheartedly support them. At all of 36, God has been very kind to me to make me, I'm a second-term MLA, and I think I'm all right.
More than all right.
More than all right, and I'm truly having a very good time serving my own constituency right now. And as far as Lok Sabha goes, जिसको भी टिकट मिलेगी उसका स्वागत है और पूरे तन मन धन से उनके लिए मेहनत करी जाएगी.
I want to end by talking a little bit about, because that's where we started, about being a woman in politics, right?
Yeah.
It's obviously tougher than being a man. And there are all kinds of expectations of a public persona. There's judgment of personal life. There's judgment of how you look, what you're wearing, anything, everything. This is across parties. I'm making no comment on the BJP or the Congress.
Yeah.
I want to understand how somebody like you, you're an MBA graduate from Duke University. You come back into the heat and dust of the heartland and you have to make that your life. How tough has that adjustment been? Yes, you came from a political family, so you had some, and it wasn't alien to you.
Yeah.
But being female in politics, being used to speak your mind freely, be who you are, politics, irrespective of parties, is restrictive.
Yes.
For the personal freedom of women.
Yes.
How have you adjusted to that?
Somehow I think because I had so much support at the ground level because of my father and my family, that I took to it like a fish in water. It didn't at that time feel so, because I think.
Did you always want to be a politician?
No, my God, no.
No?
I didn't initially at all. Things happened, it was very much, pretty much played out like a movie, right? So I came back to India. So I just hadn't been with that because I was in boarding school before that, and then I was abroad for college. So, my whole thing was I अपने मम्मी पापा साथ I've never really stayed with them. I went to boarding school when I was 6 years old, grade 1. So I was like, I just want to spend some time with my folks, and with my family and cousins and in my country and everything, and then I'll see. So I basically, after my master's, I came back to India, and the plan was to be here for a year and then perhaps study a little bit more. I really, really wanted to study, thoda sa, get like a PhD or something. I was in that frame of mind, And I come back to India, I think like in 2013 and something like that. And very quickly after me coming back, I think within a few months of me returning to the country, my father gets ill.
Yeah.
He gets diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Seedhe.
My God.
And literally all in a span of like, kahan main abhi, foreign return, and suddenly, and oh my God. So you can imagine.
Yeah, must be so overwhelming.
So like literally like a movie played out, And then he was just like, listen, like, I do not trust anyone else really to handle my virasat. और हम चाहेंगे कि आप इसके बारे में सोचें, kind of a thing, like would you be up for it? And of course, बरखा एक चीज होती है कहना कि I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, whatever. But to see your entire life, family's work, untangle in front of you is not something. Certainly, I was not raised that way. So I, of course, was, and anyways, I did have to stay back in the country because my father was so terribly ill. So I had to care for him.
Sure.
Either way, I had to be a caretaker. And साथ he got me nurturing the constituency and everything happening. So all those years, I'm a deeply religious person, and all I can say is कि बस भगवान ने मेरी नैया पार कराई. Now when I think about it, I just don't know how I took on that much and how I got through it. Right? Like एक तरफ इलाज चल रहा है, दूसरी तरफ. So literally it was like constituency, hospital, constituency, hospital. And I remember this one time because, when you're a cancer patient, क्या होता है? Often the complications are worse than the actual disease, right? Because your immunity is so compromised. And I remember in 2017, like right in the midst of election, my dad gets really, really unwell, my father, and he's admitted to PGI, into the PGI. And really, really bad, hospitalized, dripped, and everything. And I remember I would be prachar karoing the whole day. I pure din prachar karti thi. I'd be canvassing the whole day. And at night, I would drive to Lucknow, to PGI, to be with him, to see him, and spend 2-3 hours with him, drive back, get home at midnight, wake up again at 6, campaign the whole day. And
politics isn't easy. And then you have, a father on his deathbed.
And I don't know, like you said, like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I feel like अगर उस समय को देखा है, उस समय भगवान ने हमारी, हमें पार करा दिया, वो समय पार करा दिया, बाकी जो भी है, bring it on.
If you had to use one word to describe the Prime Minister, what would it be?
oh my God, saintly.
Saintly?
Saintly. I think.
Can anyone in politics be saintly because it's about power?
Yes, I think. Oh my, and like I said, because I am a deeply spiritual, religious person, how I see it is that jo unki tapasya hai, he's not, I mean, anyone that has met him or has, sort of, studied him or knows that he's no ordinary person. Itna to clear hai na. He's extraordinary, right? In terms of who his intellect, his memory, just everything about him, right? His decision-making power, his discipline, just everything about him is just. So I don't know. I think he's just risen above what a lot of 99% of human beings perhaps can't. And wo unki tyag tapasya hai. That is his meditative process. That is his clarity. That is his willpower. That is his
single-minded focus.
Single-minded focus. And just that agenda for nation building or kuch nahi, right? Like with a horse with blinders on. Again, the word I would actually use is extraordinary.
And if you had to use one word to describe Rahul Gandhi, it would be?
Ordinary. Ordinary,
It's an interesting contrast of impressions.
Yeah, 180.
Well, interesting times, Aditi. And I think, as you said, you're a second-term MLA, but with a very, very high profile because of the area that you represent, because of the switch you made, because of your outspokenness. And I'm sure this is only the beginning, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you, Barkha. It's always such a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you for your time. All the best.
Thank you.